Welcome to your States of Consciousness lecture. As with your other lectures, I'm kind of picking and choosing about the topics that I want to go over in class. So what I'd like you to do is go ahead and read about consciousness and its definition in the textbook. And I'm just going to start with the state of consciousness of sleep. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the different stages of sleep. And the way that we test for the different stages of sleep and the way that we know about the different stages of sleep is from using an EEG machine, which is similar to this. As you can see, it's a cap and it's got electrodes on it. And so inside the brain, when neurons fire, they have an electrical charge. And by putting these electrodes near the skull, when the neurons fire, they send off this charge and it can be read by these electrodes. And so basically what an EEG is measuring is it's measuring the synchronicity of the neuronal firing. And so we'll see that the synchronicity of the neuronal firing, the brain waves, are different at different levels of sleep. So if we look up top here, it doesn't say it on this picture, but this would be the awake time, which is beta waves. And the beta waves, what's happening is, as you can see 50, is the neurons are very much out of sync with one another. They're going then the waves change to this 8 to 12 hertz, and in fact these were the first ones that were discovered. And by the way, I want to let you know that these brain waves weren't discovered until 1952, and so this is pretty recent. So these are alpha waves, so the brain wave changes for alpha waves. So this is a state of like deep relaxation. It's probably like if you're just listening to my lecture and just kind of daydreaming, wandering off, just listen, very relaxing, you'd probably be in alpha waves. But if you were listening to my lecture and you're taking notes and you're really thinking about everything and then you're doing this over here and doing that over there and you're like really, your brain is really active, that would be more the beta waves. So the word beta is not up here, but it's BETA. So that's very awake waves. Alpha waves are a relaxed wave. Now, here we're getting into sleep. So I want to say that there's 5 stages of sleep. The first stage is stage 1. So stage 1 is like a nodding off. I tend to see it in my classes. This probably happens when you guys are listening to these lectures here. Is what I see when they're falling asleep in class is kind of their head starts to go forward, their eyes start to shut, but then they try to catch themselves and they open up their eyes really wide and then they'll try to shift positions. So if you guys have ever had that happen, nodding off, that would be stage 1 sleep. So you're kind of falling asleep, but you're not quite there. Okay, so the type of waves that you see in stage 1 sleep where you're still kind of awake are theta waves. Now, stage 2 sleep is, it doesn't have a name. See, it's not theta and it's not delta. We don't have alpha. But what you see with stage 2 sleep is it's characterized by sleep spindles and K complexes. So these waves right here that are really close together, they're called sleep spindles. And this one that's really high up, that's a K complex. So we'll find out that you spend more time in stage 2 sleep than any other stage. Now then, here it doesn't say stage 3 and stage 4 sleep, but I'd like you to add that to your notes. So we have stage 1, nodding off, stage 2, you're definitely asleep, and then stage 3 and stage 4 is like a special type of sleep. This is delta waves. It's called slow wave sleep. And as you can see, the neurons are very in sync with one another. So with beta, your neurons are out of sync. I don't really like this drawing here. It's not very good. If you look in your textbook, I prefer theirs. But beta, the neurons are all out of sync, so they're going. But with alpha waves, as you're starting to relax, it's more like. And theta waves are similar to alpha waves. I can't do justice to that very much. But what I can show you is the difference between like an awake brain, which would be and a deep sleep brain, the slow wave sleep, is the neurons are in sync with one another. So what you're seeing is you're seeing so when you're seeing that high right there, that's when all the neurons are firing at once, firing at once, firing at once. So they're synchronized with one another. And this is a special type of sleep. And there's like big, we don't, this is the area of psychology where we don't know much about. As I said, we didn't start with this EEG machine until 1952 is when this kind of came about. Um, but there's big debate about this. Is some people think that REM sleep is most important, and other people think that the slow wave sleep is very important. So I guess what I would ask you to think about for a minute is, when you go to sleep at night, is it worse for you to be woken up like early in the morning? Like let's say you go to bed at 9 o'clock. I know that's probably very early. But let's say from a 9 o'clock that you get woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Would that be worse, or would it be worse for you to be woken up at like, let's say 10:30 or 11? Okay, because we're going to find out that at 10:30 or 11, you're going to be in this type of sleep. If I wake you up at 3 o'clock in the morning, you're more likely to be in this type of sleep. And it's a big debate about, which one is more important for our brain development, our brain, health, and so on and so forth. It's just something to think about. Okay, so let me go back to this before I do the REM sleep because I don't think I went over it very well. So let me go again. This is your brain is very awake, beta waves. This is you're kind of relaxing. You're kind of getting closer to sleep. This is your brain is still awake, but you're just very relaxed, alpha waves. Stage 1 sleep is theta waves. You're nodding off. Stage 2 is sleep spindles, K complexes. Stage 3 and Stage 4 are slow wave sleep, and it's characterized by delta waves. But then we have one more stage of sleep, and it's called rapid eye movement sleep. So it's abbreviated REM. So what happens here is your brain goes back to an awake state. So I've taught out of many textbooks in different classes, and different textbooks will say different things. Like some will say that REM sleep is similar to alpha waves, or some are beta waves, or some theta waves. I think your textbook just takes the position that when you're in REM sleep, the brain looks like it's awake. But we'll see that REM sleep is paradoxical sleep. So I think a lot of you know that paradoxical means questionable, or it's interesting, paradoxical. So the reason why REM sleep is called paradoxical sleep is because the brain is very much awake, but there's two things that go with that. Even though the brain is very much awake, you're actually hard to wake up. So if I try to wake you up out of REM sleep, you're going to be difficult to wake up, but your brain looks like it's awake. And then the second thing is that your brain is very much awake, but your body is in this state of deep relaxation that's almost like a paralysis. So the way that I could get you to understand that is if any of you have taken Vicodin, like a heavy dose of Vicodin, you know that you're so relaxed that it would almost hurt to move your arm. Because you're so relaxed, it's like the thought of just moving would be painful to you. And so that's kind of what happens during REM sleep is a neurotransmitter comes down and it takes your muscles into like kind of a state of paralysis because they're in such a deep form of relaxation. So any of you who have woken up quickly and it feels like you're pinned to the bed, what's happened is the neurotransmitter acetylcholine hasn't disintegrated from the REM sleep. And so it's still in your muscles, so you're trying to move, so your brain has come out of the REM sleep, but your body has not, and so you're trying to move and it feels like you can't move. Some people call that the devil sleeping on your chest. Well, I guess if you think of it metaphorically, it could be. Because if you come out of REM sleep really quickly, I would guess that would be some sort of sleep disturbance, and we're going to find out that virtually any time, unless it's hormonally related, and hormones can definitely affect your sleep, whenever we see some kind of sleep difficulty, it's usually related to your emotions. So if you are coming out of some kind of your sleep and you do feel paralyzed, then maybe there is something bothering you. The devil really being on your chest, no, it's probably the acetylcholine has not worn off yet. So again, as a review for this slide, REM sleep is paradoxical sleep. The reason why REM sleep and the reason why it's called rapid eye movement is because if you look at somebody and their eyeballs are moving back and forth, that's rapid eye movement. And so what happens is when you try to wake them up, they tend to incorporate external stimuli just into the dream. So they continue to dream. This is where your dream sleep happens. And when you say, wake up, they'll kind of dream about you saying, wake up, instead of waking up. They're going to be hard to wake up, but their brain looks like it's awake. And two, their brain looks like it's awake, but yet their body is in such a deep, deep state of relaxation. So it's paradoxical. Okay, now, I don't really like this picture. I pulled it off the internet, but I guess the main thing that I want you to know from this picture is that if you tell me I don't dream, I would probably have to say, oh, that's false. You do dream every night because most of our dreams happen in REM sleep, and as you can see, we have 4 to 5 bouts of REM. So what I wanted to show you with all these circles here is here we go. You start in stage 1 and you come out in stage 1, but you're not going to go back to stage 1 for the rest of the night. So the way that stages go is that it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, REM, 2, 3, and then they have this down at 3. So you only hit stage 3 and 4, or mostly 4 and 3, in the early part of the night. Then this later part of the night, now they have you hitting stage 3, but some textbooks are going to say no, you only hit stage 2 here. See, the later part of the night you have more REM. The earlier part of the night you have more slow wave sleep. So if you remember one of your dreams, you're probably remembering this one. But if you remember a bunch of dreams a night, that's probably true because you go into REM sleep about 4 to 5 times throughout the night. So the later part of the night is characterized by REM sleep. The earlier part of the night is characterized by slow wave sleep. And REM sleep is where we think that 80% of all dreams occur. Okay, one last thing before I leave this slide is I'd like you to know that you only hit stage 1 when you go to sleep and when you come out. So right here, if you get woken up too early, this might be where you feel the devil sitting on your chest because it hasn't disintegrated. And then you go 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, REM. Okay.